Hi, it's me JD and welcome back to my channel. The holiday season is just around the corner, and if you've come to watch this video, then you are interested in some simple and easy but fun looking DIY Christmas cards. These handmade holiday cards require minimal supplies to make. You'll need some cardstock or construction paper in either traditional or non-traditional colors, it's up to you. The key to these holiday cards, though, are some metal circle dies. I highly recommend this set from Hero Arts. There's just about every size that you would ever need, and they just make a nice, round, perfect cut for your circles because, you know, if you hand cut circles, it can come out a little wonky. So with metal cutting dies, you'll need a die cutting machine. I have an electronic die cutting machine by Gemini Jr. It cuts beautifully and it's works great. I never have to run a die cut through twice. And you'll need the die cutting sandwich plates that it comes with. If you don't have dies or a die cutting machine, no worries. Just look around your desk or your house and find anything round where you can trace it and it creates a nice even circle. You'll need a few other supplies for these Christmas cards if you're going to replicate them exactly, but I promise it's not anything too excessive. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and we'll jump right into the first Christmas card idea. A great symbol of the Christmas season is the holiday ornament. With circle dies, you can create any size circle that you want. And so for this one, I'm just picking out one size and I'm cutting down my cardstock down to size. Then I'll place it in my die cutting sandwich and run that through my die cutting machine. I'll do this a few times with some different colored cardstock so I can get a variety of different colored ornaments. Once the ornaments are cut out, I'm going to grab some specialty cardstock. This is just a satin foil cardstock. You can use any type of cardstock you want. I just thought silver would be nice because this is going to be the ornament topper for our ornament balls. And so I just cut little rectangles out of that silver cardstock, and I'm placing a little bit of glue near the bottom edge, and I'm placing my ornament ball right on top of where I put that glue so it looks like an actual ornament. These ornament balls would also make great gift tags as well. So I'm going to put the last bit of glue on my last ornament, and while these are drying into place, I'm going to get out some silver embroidery thread. This is going to be my thread from which to hang my ornaments from on my card front. You can use any kind of string or twine. I just happen to have this metallic thread in my crafty stash. And I'm holding these together to my ornament with double-sided tape. I find that the really strong double-sided tape will hold the string better than liquid adhesive. You can use a liquid adhesive to adhere all those cardstock ornaments to your card front, however. This way, you'll get a little bit of wiggle room as you place your ornaments on your card front. To hold all of the thread nice and taut, I'm just going to pull it nice and tight and just fold it over the back side of my card front and then hold it with double-sided adhesive. I think this would be the easiest way to make sure that the thread stays in place. If you use liquid adhesive, it might get a little too messy. But this way I know that my string will stay in place for the most part and it'll be nice and secure. Again, this is really strong double-sided tape, folded over the edge and then taped on the back. You can trim off any excess string or thread if you want to make it easy to adhere to your note card. And you can also trim off any of the excess that's hanging off by just flipping it over and then getting a good pair of scissors and trimming it from the side. Now I wanted to make these ornament balls a little more special, so I'm using that same size circle die that I used before, and I'm cutting the same piece of silver cardstock. And once I have this silver circle, I'm going to cut a sliver from it. And what the sliver represents is the shininess of a Christmas ornament. So it looks a little more realistic. You can add this faux shininess with a gel pen or a white colored pencil, but I find that since I already had the silver cardstock out, it made sense for these ornaments to have some bling bling to them. I just squeezed out some glue on some scratch paper and then swiped this sliver across it to pick up some of that adhesive, and then stuck it onto my ornament. And this gets rid of any excess glue oozing out. So this card is basically finished. I just have to add it to a note card. This next card was inspired by an image I saw on Google. Since there's so many candy cane cards, I don't know who the originator was, but it's such a cute idea. I still wanted to share it, and I guess I'll link to like one of the creators of it down below. I'm still going to put my own unique twist on it. I just want to put out there that this is not my original idea. Anyway, so what I've done is I've die cut a bunch of red and white circles, and now I'm going to alternate them in a red and white candy cane pattern. Once I've got the right layout in mind and how many of these circle die cuts I want to use, I'll use some liquid adhesive to start gluing all of these die cuts down. And if you don't have metal cutting dies or a die cutting machine, you can certainly use a metal punch as well. You're just limited to what size circle you have. So I felt that my candy cane was a little bit off center, so I'm just sticking some on in the beginning of the candy cane by the hook, and then I'll continue to adhere all of these circle die cuts down to my card front. When I was laying all of these die cuts on top of each other, I noticed that it wasn't sticking to my card front as much, so you may want to stick some extra adhesive along different parts of the candy cane to make sure this really stays into place. I love how jolly and fat this candy cane looks, by the way. And for a finishing touch, I'm just going to add a nice little ribbon bow to my candy cane Christmas card. This next Christmas card was inspired by a stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. It had all these bubbles that form a Christmas tree, and I thought that'd be really cool for a Christmas card. It'd be this kind of abstract Christmas tree, which I really liked. So I'm taking out all of the smaller circle dies I have, and I'm going to tape them together to form a die cutting web. That way I don't have to take apart the dies to run this through my die cutting machine a second time. In retrospect, this die cutting web worked a little too well because some of my die cuts kind of got stuck in the painter's tape. No worries, I just got a pen blade out to just poke out some of those die cut circles, and now I'll run it through a couple times to get a nice variety of different size circles to play around with to form my Christmas tree. And while I'm arranging all of my die cut pieces, you'll notice that there are some smaller die cut circles on there. Well, instead of running that tiny itty bitty circle die through my die cutting machine a bunch of times, I just took out a hole punch, and what that does is it creates all these smaller circles to help fill in any awkward space with my abstract Christmas tree. Next, I'll start adhering all of these circle die cuts to my card front. You can also do this kind of card with different shades of green cardstock, or perhaps different Christmas colors. I think that would look really cool as well, and really modern for a Christmas card. Next, I'll add some ribbon to my Christmas tree for two reasons. One, just to add a little bit of color, and two, to add context clues that yes, this is in fact a Christmas tree, even though it's made up of a bunch of different circle die cuts. So I'm just laying across a strand of liquid glue and then running the ribbon right across it. I'm using this kind of papery ribbon, so it adheres really well with liquid adhesive. With fabric ribbon, like satin ribbon, you'll have to use like hot glue or something. Anyway, I got a little bit of excess oozing out, so I'll just dab that off, but otherwise this Christmas card tree is complete. While we're on the topic of Christmas trees, let's make another modern Christmas tree. I'm going to use the biggest circle die I have, and I'm going to put some tape on that and run that through my die cutting machine. I'm going to pull out this circle die cut, and then I'm going to take out my paper trimmer. You don't need a paper trimmer, but it helps to cut a straight line. So what I'm doing is I'm folding my circle die cut in half to find the middle, and then I'll trim this right down the center of the circle. And I'll do this again so I can cut my circle into quarters. It doesn't have to be that neat. It'll kind of get hidden, and I'll show you why in just a minute. But I just want to show you how I get my 4 quarters of a circle. I'm sure there's a more mathematical way to do this, but this is crafty time, not mathy time. Next, I'll add some glue to all of these pieces, and then I'll start layering them sort of on top of each other so they form the branches of a Christmas tree. This is why it didn't matter too much if all of our pieces were the exact same size. You can also create like smaller to bigger branches too, like a real Christmas tree. That'd be a fun concept as well. I'll go back to that silver cardstock to add my Christmas tree chopper and stump, and this Christmas tree card is finished as well. For this next handmade Christmas card, I decided to make a holiday wreath. So I'm pulling out one of the bigger circle dies and then trying to find a coordinating circle die that would still give me enough space to decorate my wreath with. And so I'll go down one more size, and yep, I think that's it. So I'll stick that down with some painter's tape and then run this through my die cutting machine. And what I'm left with is this Christmas donut. Just kidding. It's a wreath. At least it's going to be a wreath after I'm done decorating it. So I'll put some glue on the back of this and then stick this to my card front. And while that is drying, I'm going to get out my hole punch once again and punch out some little decorative ornaments for my wreath. And you may be wondering why all of these pieces are flying all over the place. Well, it's because my hole punch is broken. It's not broken in function, but the little thing that catches all of the hole punch circles is missing. It broke off. I don't know where it went. But nonetheless, I like it. It still works, so I'm still going to keep using it until I get a new one. Anyway, I'm just gonna stick all of these ornaments onto my wreath with some glue and then attach a ribbon, and my little holiday wreath is just about finished. For this next DIY holiday card, I'm going to be making my own Christmas lights. So I cut out a bunch of circles from some different colored cardstock, and now I'm going to use the circle die that I cut them with to create little football or eye shapes to resemble Christmas lights. So I'm just tracing it along with a pencil, and then I'll use some scissors to cut all of these shapes out. Christmas lights are definitely one of my top 5 elements of the holiday season. Me and my family always go like driving around the neighborhood to see all the fun Christmas lights. We like to put our own Christmas lights up. My electricity bill during December is outrageous, but I don't care. It's not Christmas without Christmas lights to me. Anyway, now that I've got all of my Christmas light pieces, I'm going to start adhering them to my card front with some more glue. I wanted to arrange my festive little light bulbs so that they look like they're hanging across the card front. For the finishing touch, I'm going to pull out that metallic embroidery thread again, and then I'll squeeze out a line of liquid adhesive and then lay that thread right over top, making sure to dab any excess and trimming off all the excess thread as well. And I'll repeat the process for the bottom string of lights, squeezing down a line of glue and then just laying the thread over top. And then once that is somewhat dry, I can go ahead and flip this card front over and cut off all that excess string. And this string of lights card is finished. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are at least starting on your Christmas cards, or maybe have an idea for Christmas cards. If you're watching this after December 25th, then I'm sure you're going to get a jump on inspiration for next year.